Today we're gonna go ahead and do some, I guess, what would you call this? Mixed media art? Free, I don't know, free range art. We're just gonna wing it, okay? That's all we're gonna do today. I've had this on my mind to do for a while. If you see my last Watch Me video that I did with the other canvas that I had, and I used a bunch of dye, like literal old vintage dye boxes that I got from a seamstress estate that someone gave me, and I was just like, I can't let these dye boxes go to waste. They look so cool. So I've had some other stuff too that I've used since that came from that seamstress estate, which is a bunch of vintage, they're not dye boxes this time, these are like vintage labels from old bias tape packages, zippers. Let me try and find one of the bias tape. So I have this, there was another one here. This is the inside of it, and there's just like some great yellowing on these. I've been using like the zippers were good, but I've kept the wrapping because it's just so cool. I find it to be very interesting. And also I had bought these, and I didn't even know Ross sold art supplies. These came in a 3-pack, and I want to say it was like $7.99, but I got these 3 canvas things at Ross. They all came together. So today I'm gonna do 2. This giant one that I have here, I'm going to, now this is kind of like just off the top of my head winging it, because I do need some art therapy this week. But I've had this fabric and I was going to use it, and it just, I don't know, it reminds me, I don't know if anybody else sees this, but this is how my mind works. It reminds me of being home from school sick when I was little and turning on The Price is Right when Bob Barker was still hosting it. And this was just like, this reminds me of like the curtains, like the walls in the background, or the symbols they would use on the price tag. Like, I don't know, this just reminds me of old school Price is Right. So I'm going to use this. Plus, I could never figure out what to use this fabric for. So this also came from an estate sale. I'm going to use that along with my vintage zipper packaging and bias packaging. Also, I have a ton of buttons. A lot of them don't match beyond, I have a lot of odd number buttons, matching buttons in there. So I think I'm going to combine my repurposing of these old packaging, this fabric, and my buttons, and make some kind of mixed media art. So that's one idea I have that I'm going to do this afternoon. The other one is I'm going to get my smaller canvas, and also from another gifted seamstress lot that a friend gave me. She had a bunch of these that I believe she did this, but they're just so pretty. I can't really use them. I don't really know what to do with them other than make art from them. So she has this one that's done. It's like a basket of flowers she embroidered by hand. And then also she has some of these. So I'm going to, this one will be a little bit more just winging it, but I do want to use these on the smaller canvas. And I have all my little colors here as well. And I always keep, I keep like vintage thimbles and spools and stuff like that. So I have quite a bit of things to work with. I have, what else before we get started? You know, I just have all my paints. I have all my things here, some sponge brushes. I'm gonna put on some gloves because I'm not in the mood today to have my hands full of paint. And good old Mod Podge when we start tacking down the stuff. But first, let's go ahead and I'm gonna choose the base coat color like I did for my other one, and then I'm just gonna start layering things on and on and on as I go. So check it out. So I put on a few more things here and there, glued some stuff on. What I need to do now is, because I don't want to put too much, because now I want to concentrate on putting more of the buttons. So as you can see, I kind of started here. I didn't take all the buttons because I really liked the card that it was on. but this is what I have so far. So all in this area, I want to heavily adorn it with all the mismatched buttons that I have. So now that I have, and here's a cool tip too, and I think I've mentioned this many other times on my channel, but if you're new here, I did run out of Mod Podge at one point doing this project. So what you can do is you can mix Elmer's glue with some water just to kind of water it down. Or even what I was doing, I was like turning it around and putting the glue all on the back, and then I was kind of just spritz it a little bit with water, and then I was getting my brush and then I was putting it down. And that works just as well too. So like I said, what I'm going to do real quick now that I'm done doing this here is I'm going to go outside and I'm going to spray all of this with a clear coat, and then once it dries, I'll come back in and you'll see me putting on the buttons. Okay, so I'm done. This is my outcome. You know, I just sit here, as you see, I kind of have a plan for some of them, and then, you know, most of the way I just kind of do whatever I want. And that's the beauty about just like going with the flow. Try and relax, and I mean, it doesn't have to be a plan. You could just have an outline sort of and get it going. But for this one, so when I got this, you know, it was like on a big piece of fabric. I also got bags of crewel wool to go with it. And I'm pretty sure like this was used to embroider this. So I thought, might as well just throw some on there. So I threw it atop that, you know, I have all my buttons. Me personally, it's like my thing. I don't know what it is. I tend to do like an asymmetric thing. So like one side is always like heavier than the other. I don't know what that's about. Anybody out there that can analyze brains, you let me know. Same thing here. I tend to keep it really heavy, like on one side. But I was looking through one of my boxes and I had like a spool that I had been saving, an old spool. Like all these are vintage. This is all vintage. These are buttons. Like I've had these buttons and they don't have a matching button. So I was like, I'll just put them in like that. So this is the outcome. I hope it looks decent, but these will be great. I don't know what I'm going to do with them, but it felt good making them. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.